Okay guys, so this video is going to show you some of the problems that have evaluating expressions and different 1- and 2-step equations that you need to solve. So a problem like this, a lot of people are getting confused. They aren't sure what they're supposed to do. Alright, so in this expression, I'm actually given a value for x. I am told that x equals 4, and they want me to solve it. Unlike the first page of your study guide, you are actually going to get a number answer for this because you know what x is. You're going to do more than just combine those like terms. If you know what x is, you can substitute or plug it into your expression and then use order of operations to solve. So, if x equals 4, I'm going to put a 4 everywhere that I see an x. Now be careful, 9x does not mean 94. When I have a number beside a letter, remember that that means that they are multiplied. So 9x is the same thing as 9 times x. Using that, I'm going to look here. I have 9x, so it's going to be 9 times, I know x equals 4. Then I have minus 3, so I'm going to write down minus 3. Minus 5x, that means so minus 5 times x, and I know x is 4. So minus 5 times x equals 4. When you go through, you need to make sure you use order of operations. That's a common mistake that I'm seeing. People are just going through, solving it straight through left to right. You need to do your multiplication before you go through and do any adding or subtracting. 9 times 4 is 36. If I bring everything else back down, I can go on. I'll do my next part of my multiplication. Alright, 5 times 4 is 20. Or you could think of this as negative 5 times a positive 4 is negative 20. And I will bring down everything else. 36 minus 6, or minus 3, sorry. 36 minus 3 is 33. Minus 20 would give me an answer of 13. Alright. If you're given a word problem that gives you an expression like this, okay, what this is telling you is you can use this expression to change a temperature from Celsius to Fahrenheit. If you remember talking in science, there are different ways to measure temperature. Just like we can measure length in feet, yards, inches, centimeters, we can measure temperature in different ways. We can measure temperature in Celsius, degrees Celsius, in degrees Fahrenheit. Something you'll learn about later is degrees Kelvin. And a lot of different places, like if you go over into Europe, a lot of places are going to show you the temperature in Celsius. Well, the temperature in Celsius is going to look very different than what we know here with our temperatures in Fahrenheit. So there's a way that you can convert it to change it. Alright, so they give you the expression you are going to use. You will multiply 1.8 times C. C is the temperature in Celsius. Alright, add 32 and then you will get your temperature in Fahrenheit. So, all you're going to do is you are going to say that the temperature in Celsius is 40 degrees. So C equals 40. If I have 1.8 C, that means 1.8 times C. So I have 1.8 times C, which is 40, plus 32. Type in your calculator 1.8 times 40. You're going to get an answer of 72. add 32 to that answer, and you will get a final answer of 104 degrees. All right, so they give you exactly what you need to solve. They give you an expression, and then they tell you what you need to use for the value of C. All right, the one on your test is actually just a one-step. It's quite easy. So you know the pesos, you need to put the price in pesos where the P is, and then go ahead and solve. On your test, there are some one-step equations that I noticed people seem to be struggling with. So remember, you have different types of one-step equations. You may have something that says x plus 10 equals 15. All right, for most of us, we know that's super easy. 5 plus 10 is 15. If you were to try to just solve that, you use inverse operations. All right, the opposite of adding 10 is subtracting 10. And you have x equals 5. Easy enough. Another type of one-step equation might be something like a minus 7 equals 20. So that means a number minus 7 is 20. Another one that most of us can do fairly simply in our heads. But the steps for solving, in case you had a decimal or in case there was a negative and it's not so easy to solve in your head, you would do the opposite of subtracting 7, which would be adding 7. All right, these together make 0. And I know A is equal to 27. All right, you might see something like 5B equals 30. 5B means 5 times B. So the inverse operation, the opposite of multiplying, would be to divide. Remember that fraction bar shows division. So if I divide by 5, I know that B is equal to 6 because 5 divided by 5 is just 1B. And then 30 divided by 5 is 6. Now, if you see something like this, this means some number, remember this means divided by 3 equals negative 4. Guys, the opposite of dividing would mean to multiply. So to get your answer here, you are just going to multiply times 3. And you will have x is equal to negative 4 times a positive 3 is a negative 12. All right, so that is each type of one-step equation you might possibly see. Now, if we go back and look at some of these two-step equations, I think most of us are good with some of these simple ones. All right, the opposite of subtracting 8 would be to add 8. If I go through 16 plus 8 is equal to 24. I'm going to bring down my 4x. 4 times x, or 4 times the number, equals 24. I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to divide by 4. And I will have x is equal to 6. Problems that look like this. You need to make sure that you are careful. You are trying to isolate the variable. You're trying to get this letter by itself. You're always going to start out by moving this constant term that's on the same side as your variable over. So this is 10. In order to get rid of a positive 10, you need to subtract 10. All right, you cannot add 10. A lot of people, when I'm looking through tests, I see people adding that number. Well, if you have a 10 and you add a 10, you don't get 0. You would have 20. And our goal is to make this side 0 here. So, 45 minus 10 gives me 35. Another common mistake I see on these problems, right here, people are just bringing down a 5m. You need to bring down a minus 5 or a negative 5m. Once that's done, go through. You're going to divide by -5. And I will have 1m is equal to -7. Okay. And if I go through here, a problem, decimals are easy, guys. If you have a calculator, don't look at it and think, oh my goodness, there's a decimal. I can't do this. Guys, the opposite of adding 2.6 would be to subtract 2.6. Subtract 2.6 on this side. An issue that I'm seeing is people are trying to go really quickly and they're subtracting them without a calculator. And they're not thinking about their integer rules. Guys, check yourself with a calculator. I have 3.2x is equal to, well, if you go through, -23, and I take away 2.6 more, I'm going to be at -25.6. You would then go through and divide by 3.2. Make sure that you know your answer is going to be negative, guys. Alright. Last one we're going to do like this. Nope, one more after that. I lied. Sorry. Don't let a problem like this mess you up just because the variable's on the right-hand side. Alright, remember, I'm always trying to get these numbers away from my variable. I'm isolating the variable. The opposite of adding one would be to subtract one. Alright, this is 0. And I have 11 minus 1 is 10. 10 is equal to, bring down my 5x. 5x means 5 times x, so I'm going to divide by 5. And I will have x is equal to 2. This problem has completely thrown people off on the test. This isn't the exact one, but it's very similar to what is on your test. Guys, you need to use distributive property on this side. If you are someone that using the area model works best for you when you're trying to go through and you're trying to multiply 4 times 2x plus 4, you have 4 times 2x. 4 times 2 is 8. Keep your x. 4 times 4 is 16. That's a positive 16. So this side of my equation is equal to 8x plus 16. Okay? Now this is just one way to solve it. There are other ways to solve it, which I've seen some of you do. Which I'm quite proud of, actually, that you thought to do it in that way, seeing as how we didn't talk about it in class. But for most people right now, this will probably be the way that makes the most sense. Alright? So now that I've used distributive property on this side, please do not forget to go through and solve the problem. You are going to subtract 16 from both sides. You're left with 8x is equal to 96. Divide by 8, and you have x is equal to 12. That's it for this video. We will do one more that talks about some of the word problems that you might see. So if you need help with the word problems, check that one out.